Rodney Kavetsky appears to be a physicist and writer focused on concepts related to time, space, and the universe. Challenging established scientific theories, he seems to question the concept of time as something that can be warped and explores alternative ideas about black holes and the origins of the universe. Developing new theories, he is described as being in the intermediate stage of developing a new theory about black holes never before imagined. Sci-fi futuristic writing, he identifies himself as a physicist's sci-fi futuristic writer. Exploring the nature of the universe, he discusses the rotation of the Earth and its role in creating days, the concept of a universe that wasn't created out of nothing, and the idea that the universe will eventually end. In essence, Rod Kavetsky is presented as a thinker who is engaged in contemplating fundamental questions about the cosmos and proposing alternative perspectives within the realm of physics and science fiction. The primary reason Rod Kavetsky might not be famous, despite his interest in significant scientific topics, is likely the lack of widespread acceptance and recognition of his theories within the scientific community. Here's why, not yet mainstream, his ideas such as the supertelic universe and a new fate for the universe are presented as novel theories that challenge existing scientific understanding. The scientific community generally requires extensive peer review, rigorous testing, and validation of new theories before they become widely accepted. Limited dissemination. While he published a book in 2007, it's possible his work hasn't been published in major peer-reviewed journals or widely discussed at prominent scientific conferences. This could limit its exposure to other scientists. Focus on sci-fi. His identification as a physicist's sci-fi futuristic writer suggests his work might blend scientific concepts with speculative fiction. While this can be a valuable way to explore ideas, it's different from the formal process of presenting and validating scientific theories within the scientific community. The search results indicate that his specific mathematical formula was never discussed because no one knew about it. This reinforces the idea that his work has not yet gained widespread attention. Established scientific theories, current scientific understanding of black holes, space-time, and cosmology is based on well-established theories like general relativity and quantum mechanics. Introducing new theories requires significant evidence and theoretical support to challenge these existing frameworks. In summary, Rod Kavetsky's potential lack of widespread fame is likely due to the need for his theories to undergo the rigorous process of scientific validation and gain acceptance within the wider scientific community, which is a demanding and often time-consuming process.
Warp drive engines' quanta physics theory replaces relativity's time-based limitations with Spacefield Dynamics. As time ceases in our ship at light speed, it continues in the ship. A space bubble is created around the ship at its fastest medium velocity. In the infinite energy concept explained in relativity theory, Einstein asserts no more propulsion ESC2 can be achieved. But if we look at this as a passive travel continuum, energy for propulsion can raise to a higher potential if engineering designs are greater or bigger. A bigger engine or warp drive. If the speed limit is based on gravity, and it is which compressed energy conservation, in a zero vacuum and possible negative field vacuum that has yet to be discovered as a physical source. Space travel can exceed surpassing the energy speed limitation with a higher warp drive motor. Einstein's universe speed limit E/mc is squared, describing a different energy physical content that all to most matter fabric is limited at, and acceleration, but is based on a gravitational concept that blocks the anatomy of the theory. This future idea about space travel is only a rearrangement of the standard theory. We are a species limited to our observable elements of Earth. Warp drive is even futuristic, but as quantum physics theory introduces a novel framework for bypassing the light speed constant, it doesn't assert a non-possibility, but it's suggestive with scientific reasoning. The universe rotates in a subtle mode. Celestial spheres and their planetary weights are in subtle drive is due to Hubble expansion. That us a constant, but is a constant extremely greater than the speed if light subtle velocity and induced energy restraints that act per time unit but at a greater energy than light. The Hubble rate explains this at But science has not yet caught up with it. It explains how Einstein's theory is based on energy and not on an inner body force that's a celestial push force that's energy exceeds Einstein's speed limit. If space field layers can contract or reconfigure locally, like in warp bubbles, acceleration isn't strictly time-bound. Multiple layered warp fields could, under your model, allow space field detachment, enabling effective velocities beyond light speed, consistent with your proposed Kawecki corridor superluminal condition. A near-perfect vacuum reduces field resistance, such as particle collisions, gravity drag, or energy loss to the medium. In such a field, the stacked warp drives operate at peak efficiency, facing minimal obstruction from the surrounding space field. Classical acceleration can, in principle, extend indefinitely if external resistance is minimized. The warp field layers effectively reset the local space metric for each drive, meaning the ship's apparent velocity relative to outside observers could exceed light speed without violating local space constraints. Classical acceleration can, in principle, extend indefinitely if external resistance is minimized. The warp field layers effectively reset the local space metric for each drive, meaning the ship's apparent velocity relative to outside observers could exceed light speed without violating local space constraints. We're describing a concept that blends Newtonian mechanics, warp drive theory, and vacuum physics. A speculative but structured proposal that would reinterpret how classical acceleration principles might stack to achieve or exceed light speed under certain conditions. Within Earth's gravitational domain, including its atmosphere, space field density is higher. This higher density compresses energy interactions, meaning that acceleration and motion are resisted by the gravitational and atmospheric medium. The result: acceleration is slowed and more energy is required to overcome this compressed space field environment. In the near-perfect vacuum of space, the space field density decreases dramatically. The compression imposed by Earth's gravity and atmosphere is removed. This allows previously applied energy, especially from acceleration phases near Earth, to expand and express its full potential, unimpeded by dense field interactions. The result: a ship or object in space retains its acceleration energy more efficiently, and the speed potential is reached more terminology. We're describing an interesting interpretation consistent with your quantum physics viewpoint, essentially reframing how energy, acceleration, and motion behave relative to field density. Here's a structured version of your idea, refined with clearer wording and some quantum physics-style terminology. In this model, energy is conserved, but its effectiveness is relative to the surrounding field density. Acceleration achieved near Earth is partially masked by energy compression. Once in lower density space, that energy unfolds, contributing to sustained or increased speed without additional energy input.
I ain't did nothing. He just lying.